A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I warmly welcome each and every one of you present here to the annual general meeting of the ACM Student Chapter of the University of Colombo School of Computing. It is my honor and privilege to welcome all our esteemed lecturers today. Thank you for gracing this occasion with your presence. In order to begin today's proceedings, I would now like to call upon the Secretary of the ACM Student Chapter, Ms. Nalin Ranasinghe, to walk through the events of the year 2019-2020.
A very good morning to all of you. I warmly welcome you all to the second annual general meeting of the ACM Student Chapter of Ucsc. After a successful journey, it is an honor to present the progress of the ACM Student Chapter to you today. Although it's been only 2 years, I'm proud to say that we have achieved many milestones in our journey. So now, let's look at the activities carried out during the 2019-2020 period. The main project of the ACM Student Chapter was organizing the National Olympiad in Informatics program in Sri Lanka. The National Olympiad in Informatics is organized to recognize exceptional secondary school students, train, guide, and support them to participate in the International Olympiad in Informatics. The National Olympiad in Informatics program is organized with the collaboration of 3 committees, namely the Scientific Committee, Organizing Committee, and the Executive Advisory Committee. The ACM Student Chapter of UCSC took the role of the Organizing Committee in 2019, and we have been able to organize the competition in 2019 and 2020. In the year 2019, the ACM Student Chapter organized several promotional campaigns to raise awareness among secondary school students, teachers, and parents. In the latter part of 2018, while we were taking steps to revive the ACM Student Chapter, came the first program organized by the members, who later on became to be the members of the ACM Student Chapter. It was an exhibition stall at the Infotel 2018 exhibition held in the BMICH. Starting off with the exhibition stall, we went on to organize awareness campaigns in schools and educational zones to introduce the NOI program to school students. We organized 4 such campaigns. For students in the Ananda College, Colombo, for students in the Kuliapiti Educational Zone, for students in the Kurunagala Educational Zone, and for students in the Vallabhai Educational Zone. Over 200 students took part in each of the workshops held targeting the educational zones. With the support of the Scientific Committee, we hosted a virtual learning environment for the students, comprising introductory programming courses, introductory algorithmic thinking courses, and many more. Amidst the chaotic situation in Sri Lanka due to Easter attacks, with the support of the Executive Committee of NOI, we were able to host training programs and the competitions at the Ministry of Education, Isrupaya Battaramulla. The best performing contestants from the NOI 2019 two-day final round were given a fully sponsored trip to Azerbaijan to take part in the International Olympiad in Informatics 2019. NOI 2020 Initialization Workshop, along with the awarding ceremony for NOI 2019, was held in January 2020 at Professor V.K. Samaranayake Memorial Auditorium. Preparations for NOI 2020 were made in the latter part of 2019, and we hosted a stall at the Infotel 2019 exhibition held in the BMICH to promote the event. With the support of the NOI Scientific Committee, we hosted virtual contests every month from February to July to help students to practice for NOI 2020. A parallel mentorship program was conducted where members of the ACM Student Chapter mentored students with learning to code in C++. In August 2020, we hosted an online qualifier round for NOI 2020, followed by a 2-day on-site final round held at UCSC premises. careful precautions were taken to ensure the safety of everyone taking part in the final round. IOI 2020, which was scheduled to be held in Singapore, was conducted in a virtual manner because of the COVID-19 pandemic. While some countries dropped out of the IOI due to hardships in organizing the virtual event, we managed to host a virtual contest site in Ucsc and gave the opportunity for talented Sri Lankan students to take part in the IOI 2020 contest. Another project initiated by the ACM Student Chapter is the Sports Programmers Portal for the UCSC undergraduates, which provides learning materials for competitive programming, notifies about virtual contests, and holds problem discussion meetings. We were able to achieve so much because of the members who contributed their time and efforts for the success of these projects. And finally, I would like to congratulate the new executive committee who will be appointed today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sulakshana. With that, I would now like to call upon the Treasurer of the ACM Student Chapter, Mr. Nimesha Wickramasinghe, to present the budget for the year 2019-2020.
Hello. Thank you, Ajit. A very good morning to all of you. Hope everyone can see my screen by now. Well, as the former treasurer, I would like to walk you all through a summary of the accounts for the year 2019 and 2020. As ACM Student Chapter of UCSC was in a sort of dormant state before 2019, we couldn't actually get hold of the previous accounts nor of the office bearers. Thus, we had to build the student chapter as well as the accounts from the ground up. So just like we intended to, and then as Sulakshana explained, we could successfully hold the National Olympiad of Informatics in both years 2019 and 2020. The account summary is solely based and focused around the aforementioned events. Well, as I explained, the balance when we were starting, it was at null. And then for the NOI 2019, we got a sponsorship from MODOC of 190,000. And then for NOI 2019, we had to spend 115,758. And I shan't forget to mention about the sponsorship that MODOC made for all the articles, visa and IUI team registrations, which accumulated up to 618,826, which happened directly without any interference of our accounts. And after successfully completing the NOI 2019, the balance was at 74,242. And we also successfully held the NOI 2019 awards ceremony, and that took 71,358. And after the completion, the balance was at 2,884. And again, to hold the NOI 2020 event, we got another sponsorship of 30,000. And to hold the NOI 2020 program, it took us 13,000, along with the generous contribution of Mr. Aditya on his personal notes. And as of now, in 2020, currently the bank balance is at 9,884. So with that being said, I remain. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nimesha. I would now like to call upon any member of the audience to second this motion.
I would second this motion.
Thank you. I would now like to cordially invite the ACM Student Chapter Faculty Advisor, Dr. Nalin Ranasinghe, to address the gathering.
Good morning, and welcome to you all for the meeting of ACM AGM. First of all, I would like to say, why should one belong to a professional society? So it is actually a gathering of like-minded people. So there are a lot of professional societies. This is for computer science. In Sri Lanka too, we have Computer Society of Sri Lanka and BCS, British Computer Society Sri Lanka chapter. So you can belong to one of them. And what is the particular motivation for you to join a professional society? There are several. Usually Sri Lankan people ask, what do I get from becoming a member? Usually, for the students, for example, it allows you to develop your skills for later use. That is one of the prime motivations for one to join a professional society. So when you are an undergraduate, you can demonstrate your skills, you can do extracurricular activities through the society and get those into your CV. So that is one idea. On the other hand, the papers, the conference papers and the journal papers will help you immensely if you proceed on higher studies. On the other hand, through professional societies, if you have a local branch or local chapter like the student, distinguished speakers visiting us, actually not in these COVID times, but in normal times, we can ask them to visit free of charge. So the society, the main society will bear the cost. So there are so many advantages like that. On the other hand, in the Ucsc, we have already a IEEE Computer Society section or chapter, as well as the newly set up ACM Student Chapter. So you can belong to either one of them or both. It doesn't matter. But I must emphasize that ACM is the natural parent society, professional society for computing people. IEEE is the Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers. Its prime motivation is to serve engineers. But there is, of course, a substantial computer section chapter there. Definitely, we can't deny that. But ACM, Association for Computing Machinery, is the prime computing society professional chapter. On the other hand, if you look at the achievements made by people in the computing domain, say for example, if you take for scientific domain, the prize, as you know, is given by the Nobel. It's the Nobel Prize. Computing, it is actually the Turing Award awarded by the ACM. Are the groundbreaking researchers in computing discipline. If you just go to the ACM website and check who are the Turing Award winners for the past 10 or 20 years, you will see the groundbreaking names. So that is one motivation for you to be a member of the ACM. And the other thing is, I must say, I have noted a few things down here. The typical student fee is about $19. So it is not much, but for certain people, it can be a big money. In that case, I suggest that the UCSC, the UCSC looks into reimbursing the amount of money for membership, for student membership, for the students who are unable to pay from their own. I think that would be a great incentive to many to join the ACM. And the other motivation, as we have seen, you have no takers for the IOI to conduct it locally. Actually, it is one of the motivating factors for A-level students to come into the computing discipline. So I think you have done a great service by keeping the momentum of going this IOI in a successful manner. So I think that is a very good thing. And as far as undergraduates are concerned, as I think I mentioned it in the last AGM, when this was resurrected, there are international program contests. So I think even though it was part of the ACM some time back, I think it is till 2015, it is no more a part of ACM, but it is an independent activity, ICTC, International Collegiate Programming Contest. Once you are stable enough within the domain, in the chapter, you should also look into participating in the programming contest. I must also say that the UCSC academics must also look into taking the undergraduates' active participation in such contests into their GPA contribution or whatever. Because I have seen at Imperial London, in all 3 years or 4 years of their undergraduate study, they have extracurricular activity known as programming competition training. So if the student participates in programming competitions, the worthwhile ones, not some hackathons or whatever, worthwhile ones like the ICPC, they will automatically earn some credit. I think the academics of the UCSC should also look into that aspect. That means, as undergraduates in computing, you can maintain your skills, develop algorithmic skills, thinking skills, and even win some prizes. But of course, at the moment, I think that programming contest prizes are mostly won by the Chinese or the Russians. Even the US or Europeans cannot reach those heights. So I think I have covered most of the things what I wanted to say on joining the ACM. I think I wish the new committee members all the best in maintaining the momentum generated by the newly set up ACM Student Chapter. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of the ACM Student Chapter, I would like to extend my heartiest gratitude to our faculty advisor, Dr. Nalin Ranasinghe, for the immense guidance and support extended to the ACM Student Chapter to make this year a success. Thank you, sir. In addition, I would like to take this opportunity to appreciate the hard work, the dedication, and commitment rendered by the Executive Committee of the ACM Student Chapter for the year 2019-2020. And with that, it is my privilege to welcome the new faculty advisor of the ACM Student Chapter for the year 2020-2021, Dr. Tilina Hallolua. We eagerly look forward to working together to make this coming year yet another success story of the ACM Student Chapter. I would now like to call upon the Vice Chairperson of the ACM Student Chapter, Mr. Pasindu Vijayasena, to present the achievements of the past year.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Yashidi. The revival of the ACM Student Chapter could be thought as a byproduct of the efforts put together by a set of volunteers to bring life to the Informatics Olympiad program. Back in 2018, with the demise of late Professor Gihan Vikramanayake, there was no one responsible anymore to organize the Olympiad program. And with the support of the administrative staff of UCSC, we managed to form a student body who would take care of organizing the Informatics Olympiad program. And this set of volunteers became the founding members of the newly revived ACM Student Chapter of UCSC. During the last 24 months, we managed to organize the Informatics Olympiad program twice, in the year 2019 and in the year 2020. The NOI program spans over 9 months every year. Starting with the promotional campaign, it's followed by the training program, which comprises of self-learning as well as mentored courses for students to learn programming. Then we have practice contests to help the students gauge their ability against the other contestants and to polish their skills. Next, we have qualifier rounds to choose the finalists who would take part in the 2-day final round of NOI. And at the final round of NOI, the best performing contestants are then selected to represent Sri Lanka at the International Olympiad in Informatics of the respective year. And in 2019, we managed to fully sponsor all 4 contestants who took part in IOI, which was held in Azerbaijan. This year, due to the corona pandemic, IOI was held as a virtual contest where participants had to take part from within their own countries. So this year, we managed to host a contest site for the Sri Lankan delegation to take part in IOI. In 2019, we had around 400 students registered in the program, and in 2020, this grew to 600. And it must also be noted that in the year 2018, with just the past IOI contestants to organize the event, without the support of the ACM Student Chapter, we barely had any participants to take part in the National Olympiad program. Considering that this is a huge improvement. And over the last 2 years, we've built quite an audience on social media channels as well. We have over 1,000 people following our social media channels. The training programs and the communication between the students and the organizers of the National Olympiad is conducted through a virtual learning management system called Moodle. And in this Moodle, we have a small community of student programmers built up, where some students post questions they get, and some set of students come up to answer for these things. It's a really small but great achievement of the ACM Student Chapter. Now, this chart shows the performance of the Sri Lankan delegates at IOI during the past 5 years. So the y-axis shows the relative rank, and although it's not much data, when you consider the last 3 years, the trend looks to be really promising. And I really believe that the involvement of the ACM Student Chapter in making awareness to the students and conducting this training and competitions, etc., that had a great impact on the gain in performance at IOI. Next, extending our objective, we took an initiative to build a culture that encourages competitive programming in UCSC. Right now, we have around 300 registrants in the Sport Programmers Portal. And in the future, we hope to grow this culture into a culture that supports competitive programming among our UCSC undergraduates. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pasindu. I would now like to invite the chairperson of the ACM Student Chapter, Mr. Khanil Dias, to present the duties and the responsibilities of the positions in the Executive Committee and appoint the newly selected Executive Committee of the ACM Student Chapter for the year 2020-2021.
Thank you, Yashati. Dr. Nalin Ranasinghe, Dr. Tilina Haldoluwa, my fellow undergraduates, good morning to all of you. So it gives me great pleasure as the outgoing chairman of the ACM Student Chapter of the University of Colombo School of Computing to take all of you through the duties and responsibilities of the Executive Board, and then later on officially introduce to you the new Executive Board of the ACM Student Chapter of UCSC for the year 2020-21. So in the constitution of the ACM Student Chapter of UCSC, it defines the duties and responsibilities of the Executive Council in sections 16 and 17, which are the management of the affairs of the Student Chapter shall be in the hands of the Executive Council, consisting of the duly elected officers of the Student Chapter, past chairperson, and the faculty sponsor. The chair of the Student Chapter shall be the chair of the Executive Council. The Executive Council shall be the governing body of the Student Chapter and shall transact all business it deems advisable, including the filling of vacancies in offices, authorization of expenditures, and etc. So moving on to the responsibilities of the chairperson, the chair shall preside at all meetings of the branch. He or she shall appoint all committees subject to the approval of the Executive Committee and shall assume all other executive duties not otherwise delegated. And for the position of the vice chairperson, the vice chair shall perform all functions of the chair in the latter's absence or at his or her request, and is responsible for overseeing the activities and progress of the various committee and chapter programs. Moving on to the role of the secretary of the ACM Student Chapter, the secretary shall keep minutes of all chapter meetings, inform ACM headquarters of the names and contact information of new officers, and providing headquarters with updated membership lists. And the secretary shall also send the agenda to board members for executive board meetings and record in the minutes of such meetings, and handle all chapter correspondence on a timely basis, maintain chapter files for historical purposes, and finally corresponding with headquarters regarding changes to the chapter's bylaws. Moving on to the treasurer shall receive all money and pay all debts of the student chapter authorized by the executive committee, and shall keep an exact account of all the receipts and expenditures. A complete budget report shall be submitted by the treasurer at each monthly progress meeting. And the design master shall be responsible for the design work of the student chapter of the organization. And finally, last but not least, the webmaster shall be responsible for the maintenance of the web pages of the Student Chapter official website. Right, so those were the duties and responsibilities of the executive board of the ACM Student Chapter of the University of Colombo School of Computing as defined in the Constitution. And so with that, we can move on to the announcement of the new executive board for the year 2020-21 of the ACM Student Chapter of the University of Colombo School of Computing. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce these great set of people to all of you. So the new chairperson, before that we had an election on the 10th of November, Tuesday, and there were a total of 22 voting members, and these were the people elected into these roles. And for the position of chairperson, Pasila Vijayasena was elected with a total of 21 votes. And then for the position of vice chairperson, Suvin Nimnagar was elected with 20 votes, while for the position of secretary, Anuki Alves was elected with 22 votes, and as the treasurer, Michelle Fernando was selected on 15 votes, and with 8 votes, Yashati Dhamavimala was selected as the new membership chairperson, while Hirosha Chamod was selected as the design master with 22 votes, and finally Sahan Disanayaka as the webmaster with 22 votes. And so it gives me great pleasure to officially introduce to all of you the new executive board of the ACM Student Chapter of the University of Colombo School of Computing. So I wish all of you the best of luck and congratulations on your new role, and looking to see a lot of great work from all of you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Khanil. A warm congratulations to all the newly appointed executive committee members. We wish you all the very best in your future endeavors. I would now like to call upon the newly appointed chairperson of the ACM Student Chapter, Mr. Pasindu Vijayasena, to share the vision of the year 2020-2021.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank everyone who's put their valuable time to vote in the election and for electing the new executive committee. Now for the plan. We have planned 3 major projects for the coming term. The first being, of course, the National Olympiad in Informatics program. We hope to devise new methods to improve the performance of the contestants at NOI and to make more awareness among the students. The second project is the Sport Programmers Portal of UCSC. We wish to make the Sport Programmers Portal more interactive and build a more active community and come closer to the dream of building a culture within UCSC that supports and encourages competitive programming among students. Next is, like Dr. Nalin mentioned, we are trying to become a host of the International Collegiate Programming Contest. So, like he mentioned before, the ICPC is the largest contest out there for undergraduates in the domain of competitive programming. And every year, over 50,000 students take part in ICPC. Put into comparison, the IEEE Extreme competition, which is really popular in Sri Lanka, has around 10,000 students taking part every year. So this is 5 times, the participation base is 5 times larger. But for Sri Lanka, one of the major problems is none of the students take part in ICPC because there is no host for students to take part in. So if you wanted to take part in ICPC, you'd have to go abroad just to take part in the first round of ICPC. So with our term, we are trying to take steps to become a host of this prestigious competition and provide the opportunity for students, not just in UCSC, but all over our country to experience this new contest. That would be all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pasindu. I would now like to invite the newly appointed Secretary of the ACM Student Chapter, Ms. Anuki Gayara, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good morning to all of you. Dr. Nalin Ranasinghe, Dr. Tilina Hallalua, office bearers, and my dear friends. It's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion on behalf of the ACM Student Chapter of UCSC. First of all, I would like to express my warmest wishes to all the new office bearers. Congratulations and wish you all the very best for your future activities. Also, I would like to extend a heartfelt thanks to former office bearers for organizing a great series of events last year. Your hard work makes the ACM Student Chapter a success. I would like to thank Professor K.P. Heva Gamage, our director, who has given us immense support in reviewing the ACM Student Chapter of UCSC, helped with initiating the National Olympiad in Informatics program. Next, I would like to thank Dr. Ajanta Tukorala and Dr. Jeevani Gunatilaka for supporting us with NY program. Also, I give our heartiest thanks to Dr. Nalin Ranasinghe for helping and guiding the ACM Student Chapter of UCSC. I'm further thankful for Dr. Tilina Hallolua for accepting our invitation to become the ACM SC Faculty Advisor for the upcoming year. We would be looking forward to work under your guidance. I sincerely thank Dr. G.D.S.P. Vimalaratna for helping with the NI program, and I would like to thank all the lecturers, academic staff and non-academic staff of UCSC who helped us in many ways. I'm truly pleased to thank all the members and non-members of the ACM Student Chapter of UCSC for involvement and their willingness to make this event a success. At last but not least, I would like to extend my very hearty vote of thanks to all who are present here today, although it's online. Thank you for spending your valuable time. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Ms. Anuki. Before we conclude today's event, I would like to ask each and every member present here to kindly switch on their camera so that we could take a virtual group picture. Thank you, everyone. With that, we would now like to conclude the annual general meeting of the ACM Student Chapter. Once again, I would like to thank each and every one of you present here for gracing this occasion. Thank you all, stay safe and have a great day.